Welcome to AmeriCanaries Podcast number 17, which is a prime number. For a prime number, we have a prime. Mark's looking at me. We have a prime special guest. We have Chris Reeve, one half of Talk Norwich City. Do you prefer to be called the Reeve boys, the Reeve guys, the Reeve men?
Oh well, that's one of the nicer names that we get given. So I'll take any of those. Reeve brothers is a common misconception. We're actually not brothers, so we get a bit of that. But whatever, Revo, Reeve, Nightmare, Yobbo, call me what you want. No worries.
Yeah, yeah, you're you're not brothers. That's so. Let's get rolling. So this is going to be part one of two. Our time is kind of limited today, and there's lots of things we'd like to talk about. So we have a fairly precise list of issues and questions for Chris. We also, there's some other things we'd like to talk about with him in the future, and he's agreed to come back. So we'll deal with that sometime. Yeah, sometime coming up in spring. All right, so let's start out. Your background, where are you originally from, and where did you go to university, and what degree do you have?
So I'm Norwich born and bred. My family are all Norfolk Broads boat builders by trade, and I sort of broke that tradition within the family and went into the wonderful world of, well, I'll say wonderful a bit sarcastically, lively world of social media and podcasting. And yeah, having a load of fun doing that and enjoying it. In terms of university, I'll be quite punchy on this. In America, I'm sure it's much better, but in the UK, I'm not a massive fan, to be honest with you. I think it's really, really good if you want to become a professional, such as a doctor, as a teacher. But my personal journey in the UK has been not going to uni, working my way up through failing forwards and crossing things off. But yeah, have ended up in the position that I'm in, and have probably been doing that for the last, or probably at least 10 years now. But loved the journey, really enjoyed it. But yeah, uni in the UK isn't so good in my opinion. It's probably good in America, but in the UK, it's not worth the debt. You may as well learn on the job and progress from there.
Gotcha. Well, we have different systems. We have the 4-year university, then the 2-year community college route that some people are doing. Okay, so what is your actual job? I know Talk Norwich City is not your actual job.
No, it's not. So yeah, TNC is, the thing is, right, TNC could be a full-time thing, but Jack and I agreed about 2 seasons ago that we actually really enjoyed it being at this level now, because I think if it gets bigger, I think it loses a bit of its heart, a bit of its soul, a bit of its why, and becomes a bit of a corporate beast. So yeah, it's only part-time. So my actual job is I'm the managing director of my own business, which is a social media marketing agency. So I look after loads of different business, social accounts, small, medium, large, charities, personal accounts. And yeah, absolutely love it. I started it about 2.5 years ago, and have really enjoyed it. And yeah, TNC is like what I do in the evenings, much to the wife's disapproval sometimes. But yeah, no, she's good, to be fair, because without Becky, I wouldn't have been able to progress TNC as much as it's got to today. So gotcha. It's like the day job is 9 till, well, it's actually a lot earlier. It's like 7 till 6, and then TNC through from like 6:30 after a quick load of food to 8 or 9. So yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, we've had some experience with wives not being happy with us doing podcasts at certain times.
Get used to it, boys. If you're developing, get used to it.
Oh yeah.
Well, luckily mine is okay so far. Yeah.
It starts off like that. It starts off like that.
Yeah. Luckily she's okay with it. So how did you and Jack meet? Was it just at a match at Carrot Road, or was it?
Yeah, it was. Cool, blimey, can't remember how many years ago it was now, but basically, Jack was so fresh on his journo aspirations and his career, and he was doing interviews outside the ground. I can't remember even who he was doing it for at the time, but basically, I being who I am, I went over for an interview with Jack, and he interviewed me as just a random fan like everyone else, and we just sort of kept in touch, and then we became best mates really quickly because his story is that his dad died, and obviously my mum's died too. So we sort of became kind of brothers in arms over the grief of our lost parents, and our shared love of Norwich City, and we've kind of supported each other through that. And it's kind of a bit spooky because obviously we've got the same surname, and yeah, just like the friendship blossomed from there really, and now I hate his guts. No, I don't. I absolutely love him. He's a top man. He's an absolute top man. Like he has supported me through so much, and I'm sure he'll say I've supported him through so much as well. We have just the most fun. It's a genuine blessing that we've become best mates over the years. It really has been.
That's awesome. That answered the next question without me asking it, which is great. So when did you decide to join with him? Because I know he was doing this for a while. When I first started following the team in 11 and 12, he was posting these videos from his immaculately clean, I guess, bedroom or den with the decorations on the wall. And he was doing it like within an hour after the match ended. And he was, and then all of a sudden, whoa, another guy has joined and they have a logo and they have sponsors. Oh, this is big time, man.
So God, do you know what? I've maybe not done enough preparation. Can't remember the exact year it was, but it's felt like forever. I think so. I think we started the podcast 4 years ago, but we were doing videos together at least 2 or 3 years before that. So do the maths. That's where we've been. But I think yeah, it obviously started off in Jack's bedroom, and then we were sort of we were teamed up a little bit shorter after that, and then yeah, we as soon as I think the dawn of when it became the beast that it is today was when we launched the podcast, because it was offering fans the opportunity to almost like there's nothing this is, I always say this politely and respectfully, right? When it's official media outlets asking players stuff, they just often ask them the same boring questions and they get the same boring media trained answers. Whereas I'll say to Ben Gibson, what's your favorite beer? Or where would you go on holiday? Or what music do you listen to? And just something a bit more fresh, different, and relatable. And I think that's why it's grown, because I just think like fans really enjoy other fans interviewing, because they're kind of like, oh God, that's really cool. And it is really cool.
Right.
And then that's off on a tangent. Basically, we joined forces and we've been together for years and years and years and years and years and years and years.
And now you're forced to drink.
Yeah. Well, what a shame.
So how is that Lakons? Is that the pronunciation?
Yeah, Lakens. Yeah, Lakens. Lakens. Yeah. Lakens is one of the main sponsors. Thank God. And no, they treat us well. We have a ball. Like this is the great thing with the sponsors, right? Is that we've never had to go out to like canvas or sell ourselves. They always come to us saying, look, you've got a local Norwich-based audience. Well, actually, mainly Norwich-based, but obviously very much global now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's great because these local businesses come and they're really hearty and they really care. And yeah, so we've got a fun agreement with Lakens, shall we say? If it wasn't for Lakens, I'm not sure the watch-alongs would have got to the level that they did last season. That's for sure.
Yeah, I noticed lots of people on Twitter. Well, here's my 2-screen setup, and one screen was always you guys.
Yeah, that was weird, wasn't it? That was really a bit of such a bonkers moment in time. Such a bonkers moment in time. People were turning off the commentary on Sky or whatever they were watching on, and having me and Jack talk absolute rubbish instead over the top, and having a laugh and getting drunk on camera, which I never thought I would do, and I'd never advised to anyone either. Either way, it just ended up in that, because if we were winning, it was like worthy of the celebration, and if we were losing, I needed to drown my sorrows as fast as possible. So, and actually, if it was a boring game, I needed to as well. So, yeah, as I say, God bless Lakens.
Very nice. Because we don't have any sponsors yet.
Wow.
We don't have any sponsors yet.
American beer companies, now's your opportunity.
Yeah.
I'm sure we all have our local favorites that we could go with on that.
Yes, we do. I mean, I have two. They're not even brew products, microbreweries, essentially within walking distance.
Nice.
It's I can walk there. It's like a 2.5 minute drive in the car, so they're essentially within walking distance of each other. In between, there's a big tech training thing that I learned how to fire last weekend. Didn't even know that. One of those teach you how to fix cars. Basically the trades. Teaching people how to go into the trades, which is better than a vacant warehouse. So we have that, but we don't have any sponsor. Mark has a local everywhere in the United States. You have the national, the mass marketed, and everyone has their locally brewed.
Yeah.
The local breweries, and then there's so many microbreweries that have popped up. So I don't know. We'll have to search to see. get to sponsor us at some point in time. Okay, you guys have any questions for Chris before we continue on?
I guess the one thing that I was going to ask, and I didn't think about it when we were reviewing the list, I apologize for that. Where do things stand on the whole live streaming from the Barkley issue that you guys went through? I mean, it's kind of some old stuff, and I think it's kind of past, but did they just kind of realize that wasn't they being the club and the broadcasters realize that's really an untenable, can't really enforce that thing in today's age?
Well, they can. They can
try.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but basically, they are particularly funny with viewing any on-pitch action. Basically, we're the masters of our own downfall, right? Because so many people in the Norwich City social media scene, new fan channels popping up, they can do whatever they want, right? But when we do it, because of our audience size, it's like it gets clamped on straight away, which is a backhanded compliment. So we're allowed to film ourselves. We're allowed to do stuff at halftime, at full time, pre-match. We're not allowed to live stream. Definitely no live streaming during the game at Carrow Road, facing the pitch, especially.
Right.
But to be honest with you, we're quite happy with that because I think any person in the fan channel world will say that. I think as soon as you do that, you're almost losing a bit of the in-game experience, if you will, because you're thinking about, like, you're on camera at the end of the day, and so Jack will get the camera out at key moments, normally to record me giving the away end some abuse or something, or celebrating a last minute goal. But yeah, apart from that, we tend to just like keep it fairly minimal in the stadium. But we were told off for it back in the day, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Because you still see plenty of people posting videos afterwards, various different views of goals or
right.
But I guess I don't think that's live streaming. I think that's after the fact that they're posting.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, you can. So I could record a goal on my phone. I probably still could get in trouble for it, but it's not likely to be as risky as like live streaming or doing something in the stadium, if that makes sense.
Right. We're just in a weird world right now with the DMA takedowns, and if you have 2 seconds of somebody's song playing in the background while you're doing something,
I know.
Some record label goes nuts, or the rights holder, whoever.
Oh yeah, like my son had to change his Twitter account because he played New York, New York too often, trolling the Yankees losing to the Orioles, and Frank Sinatra's account took him down. So he had to have a different account. Yeah, it was like, I think the limit is 7, and it was his 7th offense, and Twitter is like, you're dead, buddy.
Yeah. Well, I think it goes part and parcel with that. That's just, I'm all for copyrights and owning your content, but
yeah,
there's got to be something done on a lot of that.
And we've had that on a couple of YouTube videos, right? Because like there'll be music playing in the background accidentally, and then you get a strike, and then you have to be really careful and blah blah blah. But the whole reason why, if you guys watch the watch-alongs, like the whole reason why I started singing Zombie Nation or humming it or blurting out or however you interpret that is because we couldn't play it. So I would have just played it on my phone, but Jack was like, no, you can't. I'm like, right, well, in which case I'm just going to sing it instead, which is like how that whole thing kicked off. And obviously now they play it at Carrow Road as well, which is pretty mad. But yeah, they're allowed to play it. They can't sing down the mics, they get the luxury.
Yeah, you don't think anybody's chasing after Michael Bailey for playing it on his melodica, right? I mean,
it was honestly one of the most iconic moments of.
Absolutely, that was hysterical.
That just really summed up that time, though, right? It's that everyone came together luckily through our medium, and just chatted to each other and did a load of fun stuff. And Michael was like, I really want to get involved, and obviously he did stuff as well. And that moment was to be fair, that 24-hour show was bonkers from start to finish, quite frankly. And if it wasn't for people like Michael doing that, and we had various other people around the world. I think we had Lucas, the legendary Brazilian canary.
Yeah, we've had Lucas on.
Yeah, he's a top man. He's an absolute top man. And he was he sung On the Ball City in Portuguese for us.
That was incredible.
Just keeping us awake, because we were struggling so much. So yeah.
So can you tell the audience quick?
It's thanks to your. I'm sorry, Ken, but I just got to tell you, it's thanks to that. It's thanks to that 24-hour marathon that Dean Padre Simmer and I now have a local derby here in the USL. We called it the Moonshine Derby, named it because of his infamous on air tasting of moonshine and the discussion that I just thought it would be funny. His team now plays in the USL division, the top division championship, where my home team play. So they play for the first time this season, Detroit City and Charleston Battery. So I'm making this goofy little derby trophy, and that'll be fun. Just because, why not? Why not?
Exactly, absolutely. No, I love that. See, that's the amazing thing, is that like so many people have met other people off the back of those watch-alongs, because they've been chatting to them every week, like in the comment section, and then they want to meet them, and then it's really cool, really lovely, actually. Yeah. That's what it's all about at the end of the day, isn't it? That's what I think. That's what football fandom is all about. It's about community. Like, I think that coming together of people for one common goal is something that a lot of humans lack, and they don't realize until they get the bug of football, and then they're like, oh no, I really get it now. Because without community, there's not as much going on, right? It doesn't, it's a bit soulless, and with that there's something to get behind. And so I think the great thing about it.
Mark and I were going back and forth. Oh, did you talk to this guy? Oh, did you talk to this guy? I contacted this guy. I got a word. And then that's how we kicked up this group. We're just talking with all these people saying, oh man, we got to do something official. So
nice.
That was pretty cool.
It's amazing. Who knows? So like the 6 degrees of separation is.
Yeah, right.
It might be just 2.
Well, I think that's one of those small club benefits is it's not 6 degrees. It's like you say, I don't think it's 2, but I mean, it's certainly a lot less, because it doesn't take a lot. No. Everybody knows each other. And I mean, I have, I talked about my background in hockey. It's like that in hockey too, because it's a small sport. And so, if you know somebody, you're only 4 degrees separated from the ghost of Gordie Howe. So,
you know who that is, Chris?
No, not a clue. I just smile and laugh at any sort of American reference to any American sport. I just like, it sounds good.
He's a legendary. Is he still
No. He died here 3 or 4 years ago.
Right.
In Lubbock, of all places.
He was
living in Lubbock.
Legendary hockey player for the Detroit Red Wings.
Okay, thank
you. And he's like one of the all-time greats. So Wayne Gretzky, whose name you've probably heard of, sort of probably broke every record that Gordie Howe previously had.
Okay, right. Good. I don't have the mental. I don't know how you boys do it. Right. Some people said we were having a big debate about the Super Bowl on one of our recent podcasts, and me and Jack just don't get it. We just don't get it. But the most important thing is, it's not the fact that it's not just the fact that we don't get it. It's the fact that we don't understand how anyone can have the brain power to like passionately back Norwich City and also get involved in other sports. Like, fair play. Like, I'm actually so impressed with anyone that can take more on. Like, I speak to people that are like, oh yeah, I watch the golf and yeah, I like a bit of rugby and yeah, Super Bowl's on. And then, you know, every 2 months when there's a big fight on, they're a boxing expert as well. I'm like, I don't know how you do it. I really don't. I just can't fit any more than Norwich City in my life. I just really can't.
Yeah. I think Mark and I are more typical sport fans than Jeff is, as far as knowing and following so many different sports.
Yeah.
The college sports are just everywhere. There's so many different things, you know.
Yeah.
Also, the room I'm not going to take my computer and show you, but I have stuff for the Baltimore Orioles. I have stuff for University of Maryland Terrapins. I have Norwich, you know, right behind me. I have, you know, the 10 years of not losing to Ipswich, that poster. Yeah, which I forgot I think I learned about it from your guys somewhere.
Yeah. I think that was one of ours. I'm pretty sure it was
I'm not sure. It's like 10 years, you know, like they're faceless. They don't have any nose or eyes or anything, but it's so I have that, and I have a variety. I just baseball. It's like sports, you know, all around here, and we just follow and flow. You know, so today, you know, we're talking about football, you know, soccer. After I do my online class, I'm watching Maryland play basketball against Ohio State, and then Jeff's like, boo, he went to Penn State, and then Maryland's playing baseball. So it's like all these sports that we all know and can
roll from one season to the next.
Oh yeah,
some of them overlap.
And Mark is a coach and an advisor and announcer for virtually every sport possible that is played in his school.
Nice. Jen, so I need to raise this actually. Whilst I'm on this podcast, there's a big problem. There is a big problem that I need to address, right? We've got to settle this debate. Football is football. It's not soccer. It is not soccer. I know it's 3 against 1 here, but you gents are going to need to realize it's not soccer. It's football. Like, come on. It's like it was born in the UK. We called it football. Like, I don't understand why. But why do Americans claim that it is soccer? It's not. There's no comeback.
I'm not
arguing with you.
It's football to me.
As someone who coaches American football, what I tend to do is, depending on my audience, you know, with you, I call it American football, or I might, if I'm writing it, I might say gridiron football.
Okay.
But that gridiron really doesn't mean as much. So I tend to stick to, and I'll put it sometimes in parentheses, American, either in front or behind football. Mm-hmm. I know the argument with soccer and association football, and it just got scrunched and all that, and I get it. But you know, it's kind of like, I mean, how much of this is like the problem you guys have with rugby?
No,
because how many different rugbies you got?
Well, no, there isn't. It's just rugby. They've got the weird shaped ball, and that's them. They just crack on.
Right, but you have.
I think there's different types of cricket. I know that. There's different lengths.
Yeah, because there's T20 and one day test and all of that in the multi-days. But with rugby, you got rugby sevens and
oh yeah, but
that's what I'm talking about with that.
Yeah,
I mean, but it's all rugby. But then you know you have to kind of break it down.
Why don't they call American football American soccer though, and leave football alone?
I don't know. We could probably blame it on people in New York and St. Louis, because 100 years ago, that's where all the soccer was being played.
Okay, right. We'll blame them.
So I don't know.
Oh, St. Louis is finally getting an MLS team.
Yeah.
Ken, when you invited me on, you didn't expect me to start an argument, did you?
It's fine. I'd rather you be entertaining than boring.
Is this going to be the 15-minute argument or the full half hour?
It's fine.
Sorry, I had to throw.
When I mention it, I do it with the Spanish. I had to go football. With the U with the accent mark over it that's separated out from football.
Yeah. And I will say for my junior high team that I'm coaching, it's actually the T-shirts that I get made up just for me as a coach are going to say FC. They're not going to say they're not going to say SC. Good. I got my coordinator to agree that we're going to call it SC.
Good, well done.
Well, I got a lot of Hispanic kids too, so there's going to be some football spellings in some of those shirts as well. So,
hey, you can have Danny Rojas come speak on from Ted Lasso.
There you go.
All right.
So where we at on the list now that we've swerved a little bit?
We're gonna go to where do they sit for home games? And I know that's the same, but for away games, we talked to Connor Southwell a little bit about where he winds up sitting and what's good or what's bad. Yeah. But okay, so for home, you guys are in the same spot, which is
we're in the Lower Barclay, and we're right up against the wall on the left-hand side. So we're halfway up. So it's great because we get the toing and throwing with the away fans. And we also get to experience the Lower Barclay atmosphere, which to be fair hasn't actually been good at all this season. But normally it's a good atmosphere there. But in terms of away games, it's kind of a case of just kind of, if you can get tickets, you kind of go anywhere. But I love being amongst the singing fans, the fans that want to make noise and support the team from the first to the 90th minute, because I think that's our duty, and that's a big debate at Norwich at the moment, which you guys may or may not have seen online. Is there's a big debate around the atmosphere and why it's not been good enough, and is it starting on the pitch, and there's loads of complications with that, which we won't do today. But Lower Barclay is where I sit for home games with Jack, and I sit behind him, so when we score I tend to jump on him and push him over a little bit. But away games, it's just wherever you can get a seat, really. But I think away, the whole thing, particularly, I think I'm kind of done now with going away from home in the Premier League. I'm a bit done with it because they're mainly just plastic soulless bowls where there's no atmosphere, and even in the away end, it's actually quite tough to get the atmosphere going because of the bowl. Particularly a club like West Ham, for example, where there's a big gap in between the top tier and the lower tier as well. So away games in the Premier League aren't that good, but the Championship ones are really good, and they're always a good laugh, and they're proper stadiums in the Championship, more or less normally. I hope that answers that question.
Sort of. Well, that's segue the best and worst away locations. Obviously, isn't the worst Newcastle? You need oxygen to get up to the seats there.
Well, what do you mean by worst? Because
I've heard people complain that it's so high up that
it's so far away and everything.
Newcastle's in the heavens, but I think that's kind of fun. The worst stadium ever in the whole history of football is Portaloo Road.
Well, yeah.
Am I allowed to swear on this podcast?
Do whatever you want.
You're good.
Every once in a while, yeah. I mean, we don't claim it's family friendly. When I post it, it says, "Is this for kids?" Well, I never check that it's for kids.
You've invited Talk Norwich City on, so I'll say it. Portaloo Road is an absolute shithole. From the minute you get off the train to in the stadium, everything about it is run down. It's done. It's just, it may as well still be in black and white. It's just awful. Everything about it is absolutely dreadful. And in actual fact, when we won 5-1 away from home at Portaloo Road, back in the Lambert era. I vividly remember the Norwich fans dancing on the roofing, in the tin roofing in between the lower and the upper tier. Just horrible place. But to be fair, I could reel off a whole load there, Ken. Like Blackpool away back in the day was horrific because they only had 2 stands, and it's obviously on the seaside as well, right? So I vividly remember standing in a wooden temporary stand, jumping up and down, singing "Yami" as you do. And they scored from a corner kick because they took the kick, and the wind from the sea blew the ball into the back of the net, and like people standing on ladders, leaning over, and it was like. And I know I'm saying, like, I do like that. I do like the soul of that, but at the same time, that wasn't good. But in terms of location, Hull is a horrible place. Hull is a horrible place to go. It really is. It's honestly awful. But by far the worst is Ipswich. Genuinely, even if I take my yellow and green glasses off, I promise you, it really is Ipswich.
We asked Robin Sainty had lovely things to say about Burnley.
Ooh.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Twinned with Mordor.
Yeah. To be fair though, like, I know we joke about them, but actually we do need to recognise that actually that is sort of what football is about in the UK. And actually, I feel like the whole Premier League money and the greedy six and the way that football's going on the whole, and although we like to take the mickey out of these places, which are absolute hellholes, they are actually quite good fun to go to, and they sort of make it. So it's just something to recognise, I guess.
Mm-hmm. One of the things I noticed with away crowds, I got the sense some people like going to the city and like, oh, let's go to there. I haven't visited there. That's a cool place to go. I get the sense some people are making the trip less because they want to see the team play and more because of where they're playing.
No, I think for Norwich fans, it's let's just get the job done and get home. Like we always sing on away days. You have to live here. We get to go home. We get to go home.
That's one of the things. Not being there, most of the chance I don't know what is being said. And the announcers certainly aren't going to say. They might, the away fans giving the home team a bit of, flack or something. And it's like, I don't know what the chants are. Some of them are like, oh, I hear All in the Ball City. Oh, I can, every once in a while you hear something you recognize. Most of the time it's like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what the chant is. I remember, I don't know, maybe 5-6 years ago, it was either near Boxing Day or around there. So they're singing the 12 Days of Christmas, but with different lyrics. So I asked Robin Saint, he goes, oh, it's the 12 Huckerbees. I was like, what?
Yeah. At Christmas, there's I don't know if other clubs do it, but at Norwich, around Christmas time, we always bring out the old, not just Christmas songs, but like random songs for like random players. So, for example, they'll start singing about Paul McVeigh, or they'll start singing about Huckabee or Brian Gunn, or like just people that like they know it, like they've obviously been and done and gone now decades ago. But that's quite a good fun bit about being in the stadium around Christmas time. But it doesn't really happen unless we're doing well. So we've not really enjoyed that in the last 2 seasons. Not been that good. So
the festive fixture success rate is very bad. It's not very festive. And I remember it's like, oh, Norwich have never won in Boxing Day in the Premier League. I'm like, really?
Yeah. Welcome to being a Norwich fan.
I was like, wow. I was like, okay. I mean, it doesn't go back that far still. So we had here's the favorite matches you've attended, favorite goals performances you've seen, and then favorite players to interview on TNC. Then the last question, I want to make sure we get that. Most famous person you have met in the circumstances. So that's what we're trying to do in like the next 15 minutes.
So which one do you want me to go through first then?
Whatever you.
Did you say favorite goal? Did you say favorite goal? Was that one?
Favorite goals / performances you've seen. Like is someone like that was the best goal, or this individual performance was outstanding.
performance-wise, and we literally just spoke about this on our podcast, actually. Manchester City at home, and I know there's like people will say, "Oh, there's recency bias there," but honestly, it was just such a special night, genuinely special. Like it gives me goosebumps thinking about it because just it was like a funeral atmosphere when we walk into the ground. No one was saying anything to each other. Seriously, like it was dark. It was like getting dark. It was like people were in the concourse like chatting, and it wasn't this sort of jubilant, bubbly atmosphere. It was
we were
like
walking to the gallows. We had so many people on the injured list.
Yeah,
well, there was no expectation.
I didn't even watch that. I was watching something else. Oh yeah, Jeff. Yeah, I'll admit I didn't watch it. And my son, who's a Man City fan, is like, Norwich just beat Man City 3-2. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. So then I had to watch the replay.
Yeah, exactly. But as Mark said, 9 injuries, everything against us. I predicted 7-0 loss, Aguero to score 4. We're going to get mauled to death. I'll be crying by the end of the game. And it was just like everything about it. Like the fact that Kenny like leapt like a salmon for the first goal out of nowhere, and then we expected to get beaten, and the second one went in, and like seats were snapping in the stadium when people were standing on the seat, and the seats were snapping, and people were bundling over everywhere, and then just at half time, it was just like, what the hell is happening? And obviously, the closer it got to, I mean, I remember saying at 25 minutes, oh, like, come on, it's fine. We've not conceded in 25 minutes. We were like biting it off in chunks. And when it got near to the end of the game, it was just the atmosphere that night was probably one of the most special occasions. I mean, when we beat Ipswich in the playoff semi-final, that was really good. And obviously, we ended up on the pitch afterwards, giving them a lovely goodbye. But it was expected, really, because they're always crap, aren't they? So it's not really anything special being Ipswich now.
Is that the one with the Tim Klose header with the famous?
No, that's not one. Yeah, no, I'm talking Nathan Redmond. I'm talking I think Cameron Jerome. Yeah, I think the keeper as well. So yeah, it was that day. It was great. But the best goal. I mean, mine's a bit different. Everyone always says Johnny Howson, right? And Johnny Howson scored that volley from the corner. But for me, Youssef Safri against Newcastle, 04-05 season, I think it was, in the Premier League. And then that's when Newcastle had Shay Given in goal. And it's just, again, I mean, I'm a sucker for a story, me, right? I love a story. So just a random goal against a random club, like I think Howson's was against Forest, wasn't it, or something like that, or Middlesbrough, sorry. It's kind of, well, meh, whatever. But Youssef scoring, like I think he only scored 1 goal for Norwich, and that was the goal. And he hadn't scored before then, and he was pretty average, right? But he's like an icon now. And he's never done any media since leaving the football club. Like it's just that's what he did. He turned up, scored the absolute rocket, and left.
Yeah, I've seen that showed up very recently. Every once in a while you'll see a random clip, and that showed up very recently.
Yeah, that's the goal though. It was just a hell of a strike. Like such a good goal. To be fair, that was good. But there's been so many. We're very lucky at Norwich that we've been blessed by loads of promotions and title wins, and people moan about the up and down, and a lot of the greedy 6 Premier League look down upon us for that. But I always respond with, well, what do you follow football for, right? You follow it to be entertained. And I could think of nothing worse than being a mid-table merchant, whether that's in the Premier League or in the Championship, just doing nothing. Like, that's so boring. That's not why we watch football, is it? But anyway, that's another conversation.
Well, so I'm wearing the Championship shirt here.
Oh yes, look at that.
Yeah, that's.
I just like it, sticking the finger in the eye of the big boys. You know, they well, you just go up and down. Well, yeah, but it's worth it. It's worth the excitement. It's worth the excitement. Everybody says we're such a small club, but we still keep doing it. My counter argument to people saying that Norwich should not be allowed to be promoted for 3 years is, well, then maybe somebody else should fucking win it. How about that?
Yeah.
Maybe somebody else should bother, but they don't. So we're
here. Fulham has the same argument. You know, Fulham's like, all right, we'll just go down and smash everybody. Okay. Okay. So favorite players that you've interviewed on TNC, because it looks like you guys have a phenomenal.
Cool, that's hard. God, that's
and
weird.
I've current and past, like current, like players that you interviewed that were on the team when you interviewed them, and players that were no longer on the team.
Well, I'll always look fondly upon when we interviewed Russ Martin, because at the time he was like our breakthrough guest on the podcast,
Mhm.
and the club didn't allow anyone apart from official media. No one was allowed any access ever. Like, it was really, really strict. And we owe a lot to Russ because we'd said to Russ we want him on, because I knew him anyway, but we could never get through on the club. And Russ actually told the club, I know I want to do it. And at the time, him being the captain of Norwich City,
Mhm.
that was a big. But I think one that took us by surprise was John Ruddy, who didn't play for us at the time. That was when he'd just signed for Wolves, I think.
Mhm.
Just because he sort of like came left field a little bit, and we thought, because he's quite, like, on the pitch, he's loud, he's a leader, but off the pitch, he doesn't often share a lot. But the reason why John Ruddy was one of our favourites is he came on the podcast with an agenda, a very clear agenda, where he wanted to say his piece on a lot of things that the football club got wrong, not just for himself, but like, obviously, like the way he left, the way he was, he deemed himself being underappreciated by the fans, which I'd probably agree with. So he came on the podcast and just vented, and that was really refreshing. That was good. I don't know. There's been so many. Like, we're so lucky. Like, but the bottom line is that everyone that comes on, they end up opening up because we're just two normal fans, right? So that's great. Bradley Johnson, Cameron Jerome. Like, I could go on forever. Like, they're all amazing, and they all really love Norwich as well.
I'm going to have to go watch many of these.
You do. I can't believe you've not already.
Sorry, we're following all these sports. So many. Like, when this ends, I'm now 15 minutes away from my, rap hip hop improv class. So we have like 5 minutes left here. All right, so let's wrap it up with the part one with most famous person you have met and what are the circumstances.
Cool. Well, Norwich City would be Delia. That was great. I met Stephen, but Stephen Fry was on the move at the time, so it was very, very brief. But Delia is I've met Delia loads of times, to be fair, and she is just so lovely. And you almost think, like, blooming heck, how are you doing this at your age? Like, I think it's like really impressive. And yeah, she's lovely, and I had the pleasure of obviously having dinner with her as well, which was like the most insane experience. Like, she's lovely. Loads of stories. Really humble, really down to earth, really cares, remembers names, remembers people, goes out of her way to help others all the time as well. Like, you guys would have seen probably. I always, every now and then, I'll share on my Twitter account the story when my dad had a heart attack. Delia and Michael did a handwritten letter and sent it to my dad. Like,
very nice.
That doesn't happen at any other club.
No.
But even if it did, it wouldn't be handwritten. It would be done by the people.
Handwritten. I've seen a variety of tweets where people go, "Oh, I got this really nice letter from the club," and you get the sense that whoever it is, the manager, coach, owner, it's typed and then they sign it. You get the sense that they actually wrote it and typed it, because it's not a form. It's not a form letter, but I've never seen handwritten.
Yeah,
I've never seen handwritten.
But it says a lot about Delia. It does. I wanted to come on and say that she's great.
Nice.
People want to sell out and stuff, and that's okay. But yeah, she's good. But I would probably say I met I don't know, like I was at Jake Humphrey's birthday party, and I met like a few of his like celebrity presenter pals, which was quite cool. Like Amanda Holden, who does Britain's Got Talent, and Holly Willoughby, and they were nice. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I think when you meet these people, like they are just normal people, right? They really are. They really are, and they're lovely. They're really good. And as I say, to reiterate, like anyone that's like high up in the top brass of the Norwich City world, they are actually really lovely. Like there's not really I don't think there's a bad egg at all.
Good. That's good.
I can't name one. So yeah.
All right, cool. By the way, the previous podcast guest was Megan Todd from the women's team. Really outstanding guest. A lot of stuff covered. Her most famous person she met was pre-superstardom Ed Sheeran.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Pre-superstardom Ed Sheeran.
Nice.
That's hers. And mine is John Kerry.
Wow.
Yeah, when you work in DC, you run into people. The person who I also shook Obama's hand, but that doesn't count because I didn't really talk to him. It was an event, and he was just walking through and shaking people's hands, so that doesn't count.
Oh no, but hang on, you've shaken Obama's hand?
Yes.
That's insane. That's so cool.
But haven't other than hi, nice to meet you. That doesn't count.
No,
it has to be an extended conversation.
No, it doesn't. It counts. It counts.
John Kerry. But I just put, because it has to be more than hi, how are you? Plenty of people in the various different sports worlds, but John Kerry, guy who ran for president, was Secretary of State. So I met him when he was a senator and he was hosting a hearing, and it was we were waiting for him to come back from a vote on the floor of the Senate, and we just happened to be in the bathroom at the same time. So lots of my interesting conversations are with people that I meet while I'm washing my hands in a bathroom.
Seriously, right? Here's your Norwich City link to that. Then I was once at the urinal, and Dion Dublin turned up next door to me. There's a story for you. Dion Dublin.
Bringing it back to Norwich.
I have one that I'll tell at another time where I was next to someone who I actually knew pretty well. My son gets. I'll tell this later.
Okay.
I'll tell this later. But this is a guy who became reasonably famous, well-known in government circles, and I had a pretty long-standing relationship with him because of what I was doing at work. But it was just kind of funny, the circumstances. All right, we needed to wrap this up because I have to go. Thank you so much, Chris, for coming on for part 1. Part 2 will happen sometime later this spring, we hope, along with everybody else. And so this wraps up AmeriCanaries podcast number 17 with our prime guest, Chris Reeve. Thank you very much for coming on. Please say hi to Jack and to your lovely wife for letting you come on and spend time with us.
I will.
All right. Thank you, guys. And thanks for Mark and Jeff for joining us. And next guest is, who knows? we have a variety of list of people that we're trying to get. So
one pod at a time.
Yeah. I'm sure
you did my best too, Chris. And thank him for sharing sharing his address. That's how I got the stickers to you. Give him my best. Hope he's
I will.
All right, and we are out.